Judicial Conduct Tribunal recommending a lighter sanction of misconduct against the Eastern Cape Judge President Selby Mbenenge following allegations of sexual harassment by the judge's secretary Andiswa Mengo. While the tribunal found that Mbenenge initiated a flirtatious relationship, it ruled that his actions do not amount to gross misconduct. The final decision now rests with the Judicial Service Commission, which can uphold or upgrade that sanction. Let's get some reaction now. Alison Tilley, who was the Director of Judges Matter. Alison, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate your time. Break this down for us. This recommendation, does it essentially mean that Judge President Selby Mbenenge escapes impeachment?
Yes. Obviously, assuming that the decision is not appealed, as it stands, it means that because he's guilty of a degree of misconduct, but which doesn't amount to gross misconduct, it's therefore doesn't rise to the level of impeachment, and the sanction will be less than that. We don't know what the sanction is at the stage. That'll be determined later on in the process.
Alison, if you could just explain to us, I've just read exactly that. It's not that at the level of gross misconduct, but at the level of misconduct. Just explain the two to us, because we're talking about a lesser sanction here. So between the two, if you could break it down for our viewers, obviously it's a lesser sanction, but you have gross misconduct versus misconduct.
So if we think back to Judge President Hlophe and Judge Matata, I mean, those are matters in which it was found that there was gross misconduct.
Right.
And that then led to impeachment. But there are a lot of findings which are just misconduct, so delay in handing down judgments, for example, in which case the sanction might be that you are suspended for a number of months from appearing in court, and then you are catching up on your decisions, and that's really the sanction that would be applied in that situation. So each situation is different, and you're going to tailor your response to exactly what the misconduct is.
But this is not the end of the matter, is it? The JSC, the Judicial Service Commission, I understand from my colleague Kani Mapanga, is sitting in April. We're likely to have a decision on whether the Judicial Service Commission believes that this sanction is the correct one, or they could possibly upgrade it if they feel that the recommendation that has been made, or this lesser sanction, does not suit this particular case. Am I correct to say so?
Yes. I think the thing with this decision is that a lot of the findings hinge on the credibility of the complainant, and the findings throughout the decision are that, in a number of different instances, the tribunal finds that she has lied, and credibility findings are difficult to challenge. There's certainly also findings about what exactly the legal position is, where there are two people of very different rank, and what constitutes sexual harassment in those circumstances. And the tribunal have been careful to cite those decisions and distinguish this case from those. So it's a very carefully worded decision, and will be difficult to challenge, although as you say, it doesn't mean that the JSC is bound by the terms of it.
Yeah, but what factors, Alison, would the JSC likely consider when having to decide whether to uphold, the tribunal's recommendation or believe that there could be a heavier sanction?
Well, I think if we go back to Judge Matata, in that situation, the finding was in fact not of gross misconduct by the JSC, but when it went on appeal to the SCA, they then found that it was gross misconduct. So that was an example of where there's a lesser finding, and then the finding is overturned on appeal, and a more serious sanction is then applied.
And I think from a layman's perspective, Alison, or maybe even from your perspective and my layman's perspective, how does this outcome impact, public trust in the judiciary? Yes, there's a recommendation that has been made. There'd been arguments that we saw take place during that entire inquiry. But of course, there is the element of public trust for a very important institution such as the judiciary, where you're likely to find a lot of commentary on this matter, whether it's fair or unfair, given the recommendations that have been made. Yes,
I think this whole matter from the beginning has been really, I think, has caused concern about the actions of Judge President Mbenenge, and it's given rise to a real debate about how sexual harassment works, and whether the difference in power between the two parties in this case plays a role. This tribunal has recognized the Constitutional Court decisions, or decision in this in a case dealing with sexual harassment, and they've distinguished that decision and said that that's not something that they are going to, they're not going to take that view in this matter. They're going to take the view that these were both parties who, and particularly the woman that I think she said what she meant, and that's the finding of the tribunal.
Alison, thank you very much indeed for clarifying for us what this recommendation means. Alison Tilley was Director at Judges Matter, speaking to us, of course, the Judicial Conduct Tribunal recommending a lighter sanction of misconduct against Eastern Cape Judge President Selby Mbenenge, following allegations of sexual harassment by the judge's secretary, you would recall, Andiswa Mengo. That had been, of course, while the tribunal found that Mbenenge initiated a flirtatious relationship, it ruled that his actions do not amount to gross misconduct.